So, here we are spawning into Dreamcatcher. Our player in the top left from Taste the Bacon. Our Zerg in blue, it's Mr. Clodham. And his opponent in the bottom right from Gosu, our purple Protoss player. This is Assam. Cool, PvZ to start off the match. This is an all kill. It is a best of 7. We start off with a couple plat players, and we move into 2 diamond players. So both teams have 4 players. 2 plat, 2 diamond each, but they do start with the lower leagues first to give them a shot. And then from time to time, we see some people do some great stuff and take a few more maps than they're supposed to in theory. So let's see how this goes. This is the second week here of the second season of the Validity Team League. Last week I cast a matchup between Jamit and Validity, actually. Oh, probe getting here to scout. Clodham does not want that probe anywhere near. Decides to pull most of his drones to deal with that. It was a hatch first, so maybe he's a little bit afraid of something happening. It was a little cheeky. Didn't want to have to deal with it. He's actually sitting out in a drone just to help scout as well. Meanwhile, back home, awesome. He's just going pretty standard. Started up with the gate at his natural wall, then went into his nexus. He does have a gas that he has been mining from for just a couple seconds here. Cybercore coming in as well. We'll finish this wall eventually. Walling off is such a chore. And sometimes it's a lot harder than you want it to be. This is an interesting setup currently. There's a little bit of a hole there. A couple units will be able to plug that, and maybe a shield battery as well will help that. Pro, meanwhile, just back home, just scouting around still, just seeing what's going on. Not a lot to look at. Speed is on the way here for our Zerg player. Hatchery did finish up. Queen's in production. A couple of Lings to come out as well to help just keep the things nice and safe. No tech yet from either player, which isn't a huge surprise, but should be seeing that relatively soon. We do have the first adept coming out here for the Protoss player. He's up and rolling. Lings want to get on the map and just see what they can find. Not going to be a lot to look at really just yet. They'll see the first wall. And again, they could get in there through 1-on-2. This is actually going to be a Stargate opener, which I love. I've always enjoyed the Stargate openers, at least. Stargate in the late game, that's a different story. But to open with a Stargate, it just opens up so much cool stuff you can do. I feel like it takes a little bit more effort to successfully do that. Last Ling does survive. Speed not having finished just yet. He's not able to get in, but he did see the Stargate, so he knows that that's coming. So long as he actually clicked on it, which he may not have clicked on it, but certainly he did. Third hatchery on the way. I'm curious if we'll see any spore crawlers coming up. He's just going to deal with the queens. I mean, for this early in the game and how late the Stargate actually was, you can really deal with this with queens. But honestly, he may have just assumed it was a gateway and didn't actually click on it. He may not actually be prepared for it all. He is just droning up quite heavily. Not a lot of queens out. Kind of would maybe want to see a couple more queens just to help, especially considering the fact he's not getting spore crawlers right now. He only has the 2 currently. Lings are flooding on. There is a huge hole there. He's going to get in there. He's going to try and hold position in the natural. He's going to go right into the main base, see what's going on here. Maybe get a few pro kills here. Does get at least the 1. No, just going to get a couple of pro kills there. Not a whole lot. Only the 1. He does lose all of those Lings for that trouble. But workers right now are pretty decent for both players. A big wave of workers just finished up for our Zerg player, so he is going to be at 41 to 39. His third base is finishing up just as well. He does have a couple spore callers now. He definitely saw the Stargate this time when he went in there with his Lings. He may not have actually seen that Stargate the first time through. But he does see it now. Som seems to have actually fixed the whole wall issue. Has 3 adepts here now. Meanwhile, he is going back into the mortal production and on a few more gateways. And actually a Robo Bay as well, so Colossus or Disruptors should be in the near future here for our Protoss player. Zerg is going up to Lair. And to answer your question, Purple Smurf, it's not a Born Gosu league. It's a league that Born Gosu participates in. It's the Validity Team League. It's headed up by Orion from Team Validity. And these two players are platinum. Actually, you may have heard that eventually at some point, but yeah, these two guys are plat to open with. Mostly a couple diamonds later on in the series. Okay, third base is going to come up here for our Protoss player as well, so both players just going macro heavy, feeling each other out. Mr. Cloudham has a nice worker lead, 58, 59 to 50 right now. It's not a huge surprise considering the fact that at this point in Protoss, he's just oversaturated at both of his bases, probably. No, he's only oversaturated at the natural, but he's probably going to make more probes once this base finishes up. Phoenix coming in here just being a little bit annoying. He didn't get any kills and got shoot away. Almost lost his life there. So good job by the Protoss player not to lose that. Robe Bay is just researching that Colossus range upgrade, so we will be seeing some Colossus coming out here. Twilight Council did finish up as well. Is there a Forge? I don't believe there's a Forge actually just yet. A couple Eva Timers just finishing up here for our Zerg player. Another Macro Hatchery even finishing up for him. But Phoenix out on the map, going to be a little bit of a jerk to all of these Overlords. A couple Queens that have been out here spreading creep should be able to push this away, especially considering how low of health the Phoenix is at. It's only the one Phoenix. Yeah, you're able to push that away pretty quickly. He's actually got 3 Queens out here. Good reaction there from a Protoss player. Does get that away. So Assam is just fine. His third Nexus did finish up. He hasn't... There you go. So as I said that, as I was getting to say, he hasn't made any probes recently. He starts making 3 more. So he will be saturating this third base pretty well. Templar Archives on the way as well. So I like this opener with the Stargate. Kind of force your opponent to think about going into a lot of Hydras. Just that threat. We do see the Hydrogen coming down here. Actually, is there even a Roach Warren yet? I don't think there is. You didn't even bother getting Roaches. Phoenix is gonna die. Poor Phoenix. So sorry. That's a lot of Queens. It's a whole lot of Queens. But anyway, what was I saying? Kind of makes your opponent think about getting a bunch of Hydras early on, and if you do that, and your opponent ends up going into Colossus and a bunch of charge lots, that can be painful. And then the next follow-up to that is going to be Storm even. So this could be frightening for our Zerg player, but as of yet, he hasn't actually made any army units, really. What does he got right now? He's got 8 Lings and a bunch of Queens. That's all he's got. So once the Hydra Den finishes up, actually goes directly into a Lurker Den even. Lurkers are so annoying to deal with at any level, but especially at this level. Changeling coming in here, seeing what's going on. Nice little scout there from a Reserve player. Storm on the way. Another Colossus finishing up. It's going to put our Protoss player at just the 2 Colossus so far. And it looks like he may stop that production. 11 Hydras on the way. They have their upgrades coming on as well. The Groove Spines increasing their attack range by 1, and then he's going to go up to the Hydra speed after that. That's interesting, Quaterno. I'll see if I can figure out what is up with that. But I've got a couple of filters on it, so it may be screwing with it a little bit. 4th hatchery has been plopped down here by our Zerg player. My AC actually kicked on, so it may have been that as well. And the 4th Nexus coming up as well from our Protoss. So Protoss is keeping pretty even with his Zerg opponent as far as economic possibility goes. Bunch of Hydras on the map right now, but that's really all there is for our Zerg player. It doesn't have a lot in the way of buffer for anything. Storm has finished up. There are a couple of Templar. They're going to have a couple Storms each if any engagement does happen in the near future. But for the time being, both players are just sitting back. Bunch of macro gateways. Yeah, I think another Robo got put down somewhere. Where are you? There you are. Another Robo here at the 3rd base of the Protoss. Not a lot of harassment from either player, really. There's not been any Ling run-bys or anything of the sort. Another Changeling going to pop in here and see what's going on. I'm going to go on the main base. I'm not really going to scout too much. I'm probably just going to check and see if the Stargate's moving, doing anything useful. See if there's another Stargate or a fleet beacon perhaps, but none of those things actually exist just yet. That is a lot of Hydras, and nothing else. There's one Lurker morphing currently. Right now he's got 35 Hydras. There's 8 links somewhere on the map. But yeah, that's just a lot of Hydras. He's going to Aspire now. Probably for a Broodlord transition at some point. But our Protoss player, he's moving out the map now. And that's a lot of Protoss. It's a lot of powerful units there. He's got a bunch of Storms. He's got 5 Templar. He's got 4 Colossus and a ton of Zealots. So this could be kind of painful for our Zerg player. He is going to actually break down these rocks, buy himself a little bit more time. He's only got the 1 Lurker right now. He's actually morphing a bunch more. So that's decent, but with the Oracle here and an Observer as well, it shouldn't be too difficult for the Protoss player to get through. Yeah, he's just setting up here, and eventually he's going to see this whole army just waiting for him, but he's going to push around to the end. I guess the charge lots don't have charge. I expected, given the fact that you've got 28 Zealots, that they would have charge right now, but he hasn't actually finished that upgrade. Hydra's going to push in on top of this, but again, there's just so much Protoss here. The Lurker's doing so much damage, and nothing's being done about them. Without charge, it's so hard to get onto, so despite how powerful this Protoss army actually was, the Lurkers just save the day. The entire army just explodes in front of his eyes. Yeah, Assam did not expect that. And now he's warping in Zealots back home, but again, that's not going to help against all of these Lurkers. I don't believe they have the upgrade to increase their burrow speed just yet. Hive did just finish up just a little bit ago, so that's not quite on the way. But that was a massive death. And at this point, Mr. Cloudon can probably just choose his spot and stand there and win the game. It's a lot of Archons that are morphing in. But again, there's no real answer for the Lurkers right now. Third base is going to be under siege. He's actually kind of broken off from his 4th base. If he just sends some links to that direction, he'll be able to take that down. Lurker's going to move forward here. Another Robo is being made. They are all kind of clumped up in the same spot. So that could be good if there were enough Storms, but the last Templar actually just died there. Third base does go down. Of course, the 4th does exist, but there's only 4 probes sitting over there. He's actually attacking with just the Hydra, so that's a bit of an issue, but yeah, without charge on these, it's troublesome. There is an Observer on the way, so he's eventually going to be able to see the fact that, hey, Lurkers do exist here. But third base dead. He did save most of his probes, which is nice, but he's got to find a way to get over to this base to actually make that worthwhile. Meanwhile, Cloudon has taken his 5th base, hasn't put any workers over there right just yet because he's been busy killing off the Protoss army. Assam has sort of stabilized, which is good, considering how that engagement went. I think it was at one point 170 to like 80 supply. So he recovered from that, which is good. But he's got a ways to go. There's a lot of observers. Actually, observers are just hanging out all in the same spot. Just making sure that, hey, there's nothing over here. Wants to make sure he's not going to run into a bunch of Lurkers again. And like I said at the beginning, once I saw the first Lurkers actually morphing, they're a scary unit to have to deal with in any league, but especially around this location, around this area. +3 attack is on the way. You just have +2/+1 at Carapace currently, nothing else. Spire hasn't turned into a great Spire, so it looks like Cloudon's just going to try and win this with the Lurkers and the Hydras that he has now. There's just so many Hydras. There's a lot of Storms available once again. Actually, both armies are kind of passing each other. Protoss player is going to have to react to this eventually. He's going to see this is actually happening and say, hey, wait a second, something's going on here. I need to actually check things out, but he's not actually reacting to it. He's just kind of looking around saying, hey, what do I actually need to be doing here? He's finally going to come back. He's like, wait, this is still actually happening. What is going on here? Looking from his vision, and he barely sees any of his Lurkers. He's got nice Storms on top of some of them, killing like a decent amount, but all of the Hydras do actually remain here, so that's going to be pretty much it for our Protoss player. 187 supply to 71 here in favor of the Zerg. Hydra's just pushing in, and Assam is going to call the GG there. So Taste the Bacon's going to take game number 1 here. Wow, that was weird. And yeah, I don't know what was up with the mic there. I imagine it may have been simply because I had the AC kicked on.